Hello there. We are going to be talking about Twin Peaks again. We're talking about episode 6 of Twin Peaks: The Return, which is called Don't Die, which is a good title. But before we get into all that, I'm William, and with me is
Sean.
And if you followed our previous videos, we did episodes 1 through 5 so far. We did one video that was episodes 1 through 4 and one that was for 5. So we're just trying to keep up with this show and go through full spoilers on everything that's happened in the show so far and speculation and thoughts for what we think might happen on the show going forward. And as before, I'm sure on all these videos we've missed a lot because the show is so dense and packed with information, and you really need to have seen the original series, Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, and really have read the book, The Secret History of Twin Peaks. And then there's other stuff from the original run of the show, like The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer, which I never read. And there was other stuff like that.
I also saw somebody point out, let's see if I have it. So it was the tapes of Dale Cooper.
Yeah.
So the statue that starts out this episode and the end of the other one, did you see somebody figured out who that was? I wish I would have thought about it before we started here. But basically, I guess in that tapes, there was like, on the back of the box or something like that, there was a thing that said, here it is right here. He looks like James Stewart in the FBI story. And this was a quote from Agent Cooper, age 13. Above my bed is the most important personal item, a poster of Jimmy Stewart in the movie The FBI Story, which only I can touch. And as you know, he touches it, at the end of the episode. So it's like they found that, somebody point that out in
some eagle-eye callbacks to some like promotional secondary material from a show that came out in 1990. So this show is incredibly layered, and the thing that I think I've seen the people complain about the most, and then people defend, is that so far we have yet to get actual Agent Cooper. And you get Dougie, and you get his kind of Cooper's reintroduction and kind of getting back up to speed. And I've heard some people say that like originally it was supposed to be like 10 episodes, but Showtime wanted more, so they stretched things out. Mm-hmm. Or this was just the amount of episodes that Lynch wanted to make, and he kept all the material in and kept all of the takes in that he had that he liked, because some of the takes go a little bit long and have some pretty out there stuff. So,
and it's like, what would the story is basically them finding Cooper.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I unless you had a totally different story.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's going to be weird. You could see it almost snowballing into, them a bigger, I guess, another mystery kind of happening.
Yeah.
It would be very weird for Cooper to snap out of it and then put him straight to work, Yeah. But I guess it's going to be something connected with the Lodge where he is going to have to do something if he snaps out of it before the series ends. You know what I mean? Or like part of the way through or something.
Yeah, because I think like the show is going to be going towards getting, like, I don't know how many episodes we're going to get of actual Cooper. Does the show end with him coming back? Does it?
And how can is he really going to be Cooper ever again? Like the same person after this? Well,
too, because
he could be out of it, but he's going to be changed.
Because Kyle MacLachlan, the actor, that was in the early '90s. It's years later, so he as a person has changed. Doesn't look the same. I mean, he looks pretty similar. He hasn't changed that much. But like the character of Cooper's been stuck in the Black Lodge, and like, what has he been doing? Has he gone a little bit crazy? There's all these different things we're not quite sure of.
It seems like he hadn't taken a piss until he got out of the Black Lodge from that one episode.
Or he didn't know how to.
Yeah, which was like, no. When he wakes up first at Janey's house.
Oh, yeah.
Because he pisses forever, just like Austin Powers. Yeah. And, the first one of those.
Yeah. So the first 2 episodes were kind of a reintroductory to the series and had some stuff that was kind of out there and had like the glass box and like the most brutal murder or the most horror specific type thing we've seen on Twin Peaks kind of. The original series had some scary stuff too in the lodges, but you have like that type of stuff, and then you kind of got in episode like 3 and 4, you got more of the humor with like Wally Brando and stuff, and it got more back to a feel that approximated some of the original series. Episode 5 and I think 6 are starting to get us into a groove of what the show might be for the remainder until they completely change it up at the end.
I really feel like at this point in the show, the only thing that, obviously none of it feels exactly like Twin Peaks. It's not the same pace or whatever.
Yeah.
But really the only elements that are kind of maybe seem distant from Twin Peaks is the Dougie part, and that's such a weird story. But really, everything in this episode
Yeah.
that is going back
Yeah.
feels very Twin Peaks almost. You know, like
Yeah.
the drug running mystery, Hawk finding the letters at the end of this episode felt very much like a cliffhanger at the original Twin Peaks, which I didn't think there'd be any cliffhangers like this in the series.
Yeah.
And I love those cliffhangers at the end of the episode. So I feel like it's like things are starting to get back in the groove almost.
Well, it's starting to get back into gear and start moving into, like, you know, a lot of people, like season 2, David Lynch kind of disowned a lot of it because after they forced them to reveal the killer of Laura Palmer, then he kind of lost interest and didn't really come back until like the last couple episodes. So that season 2 kind of lost its way, but the Dougie stuff, it's not Little Nicky and it's not some of the other stuff.
Oh, no. I think it's I think it's super interesting.
Well, I think it's too, like, the element of, we haven't seen Cooper since the, you know, he was in Fire Walk with Me, but it was a prequel to the show. So we haven't really seen Cooper in action since season 2, which, you know, and he was the most important character. So maybe there needs to be a gentle or gradual introduction to him, getting back up to who he was or, you know, what he is now.
Yeah, all the Dougie stuff though has been fascinating. I mean, maybe because he's such a beloved character that this is a character you'd have the patience for. To, you know what I mean? To kind of wait for all this stuff to happen, and you're already invested in, even though you haven't seen that character in this series yet.
Well, it's like video games where a character starts out with without all their weapons, and they start out like depowered and have to get back. So
yeah, he's slowly gaining magical abilities too. And like the paperwork that he goes through, like, you know, it seems like, as somebody mentioned, he's always somebody that, you know, wanted to do good and the right thing, and it's like he was given this task, and it's like there's something in him. He was finding out problems or whatever, and obviously he revealed something, which I'm guessing it was the deceitfulness of what's his name?
Well, the Tom Sizemore character, Anthony. So kind of just going through all the stuff that happened in this episode, because some stuff is pretty monumental for the lore of Twin Peaks.
Yeah. So
we get to see Diane for the first time, Diane Evans, who now dispels the notion that it was a figment of Cooper's imagination or something. Because I know that there was stuff that she had sent to him in the original series, like stuff he got the Great Northern, but she was never on screen. So this is like the first time we've like see her on screen as a person, and it's played by Laura Dern, of course.
Or it's just another Diane, since they do double names.
Well, yeah.
It's absolutely not going to be that, but, you know.
But too, like Laura Dern being somebody that's worked with David Lynch so much and in some of his significant work, so I think that he would give her a role that had meat to it, and they gave her something to do.
This is not unexpected that she plays Diane.
A lot of
this is the one thing you could probably have guessed before the show started.
A lot of people were guessing that, and you know, assuming that was going to happen before the show started. So that's not necessarily surprising, but to see it actually happen, you're like, oh shit, they're actually doing it.
But that's like the one thing people were able to guess. I think this came right based on the
there
way
was,
the show's going.
There was some of the promotional pictures that had like her, like Laura Dern and Lynch and Colin McLaughlin and stuff. So like, you wouldn't have her so prominently featured in that if she didn't have a big role. So you see other things happen. There's a lot of stuff that happened in this episode. There's some more characters we see for the first time. So we see Carl Rod, who was played by Harry Dean Stanton, and he was in Fire Walk with Me and worked at the Fat Trailer Park. So we saw him back for the first time since Fire Walk with Me. And you see him leaving the trailer park, and
you just get to see a character who has lived their life since then in that trailer park, basically. It's like, it's almost interesting, you know what I mean? It's like watching another short film. Like, it's somebody who, as he said, just has to get out of the park so he doesn't drive himself crazy. You know, he goes into town once a day, and then we follow and see, you know, him seeing the little kid and the mom playing, and him getting some joy out of that, and then Richard Horne speeding down the street after being threatened, and that, you know, runs over the kid.
Well, too, like,
and two, he sees the spirit of the kid or something,
or
you
the
know?
Garbanzia, like, going to feed the spirits because it's a negative emotion and he died brutally, but like, who knows specifically. But too, like, to go back to the Diane thing, when Miguel Ferrer, who's playing Albert, when he gets out of the car and he goes through the rain and it's raining, he's got the umbrella and he's cursing Gene Kelly because of singing the rain and stuff. Like, if there's a reason for that show to be R-rated aside from nudity or violence, it's to have Miguel Ferrer like cursing. And
it's so sad that he's passed away and not able to see like the fan reaction to this, but he is stellar. You know what I mean? And it's not like it's not like sad because he's never done anything that's great for. Like he's always been phenomenal.
Yeah, he's
in
been
everything.
Or like because it always goes back to me to RoboCop's like when he's like doing coke with those girls. And then the guy that plays Red from that 70s show comes in like, bitches, leave. like Miguel Ferrer is awesome in everything.
Yeah,
and it's sad that he won't be anything going forward. Mm-hmm. But like at least he got to appear in this show because I have to assume without him it'd be much different.
Yeah,
and they'd have to have other characters fill in roles. So it was good. Like that was just a hilarious moment to see him just have that reaction. And Diane knows Albert, so we know that. And then too, so before Richard Horne goes and on his coke-fueled driving run and kills a kid, we see him interact with the guy Red, who is running the drug trade and who knows magic. And he's the finger guns guy that we saw in an earlier episode who did the finger guns towards Shelley at the Bang Bang bar. So his relation to all of that is unclear. Like, what does Shelley know about all that stuff? So that's all unclear. But
that scene was really good, I think, because it almost like at that point it almost was like, okay, this is some far supernatural stuff that you haven't really seen characters do. This is like some Lost Highway stuff, and that's what it very much felt like. This crazy Lynch villain that has control of reality and
like into the series so far has had a big thing about metals because you've had like when the fake Dougie melts down, it's like a little metal gold or silver or whatever, some metallic type like pearl or sphere, and then we've seen the box in Argentina turn into like metal. So and then you have a metal coin the Hawk finds later, and then you had this with Red, the coin flips and it goes in Richard Horne's mouth and all these. So there's all these different things with metal and coins and all these things.
Yeah, and leads Hawk to finding the papers kind of at the end of the episode.
So you have that, and then you see that Richard Horne really isn't in control of anything. He's more of like the Bobby Briggs role from the original Twin Peaks of being like somebody who is subservient to somebody else who will beat the shit out of them if they don't do what they want. Because like with Bobby,
he needs his brains, right?
Yeah. He said he would saw his head open and eat his brains if he messes around. As opposed, like in the original series, Bobby was, at the beck and call of Leo, and then, try to do his little schemes or whatever, but since he was such a punk.
Yeah, even like some of these characters almost seem some of the worst characters of the original series seem less innocent, less threatening. You know what I mean? It's like it's all amped up from here.
They're also kind of, a lot of the characters are kind of reiterating or taking on character arcs that originally occurred. Some of them we have no idea where they're actually going. Like the character Becky, played by Amanda Seyfried, however you pronounce her last name, who appeared last week, like could be another Laura Palmer, could be, a lot of different types of roles, or just something completely different. We don't really know yet.
Yeah, and we still don't know who her dad is. And somebody pointed out that Shelley is carrying a ring on a necklace. So it's, somebody said some people do that as a sign of surviving abuse, like it's not going to happen again, with Leo. But it also could for some reason be maybe she lost her husband, and got remarried or something. You know what I mean? Like,
then there's also the element of who are the parents of Richard Horne? Is he the son of Audrey Horne, or is he the son of Ben Horne or Jerry Horne?
He looks a lot like Jerry, I think.
Yeah, because I heard people say that.
Yeah, I think he looks just like him.
So it's kind of unclear. There's been no indication. He hasn't even had his name mentioned on the show yet. It's just been in the credits.
Yeah, but he could be, it's like he could still be Audrey's kid. Yeah. It's all the same family. Like, like when my little cousin looks just like my mom,
Well, yeah, and I heard some people like say the rumor, or some people were speculating that like maybe he was the kid of Audrey and Evil Coop. And that's why he has like the tendencies he does, which would make sense. But at the same time, I don't think they would do that.
Yeah,
I mean, which we still haven't seen Audrey yet. And we're episode 6.
Everybody's waiting. Like I've been finding a lot of people. There's all that like, where's our queen at?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of outcry, but the show's been so good. Like I'm not starving. So many great people have been returning.
Episodes.
Yeah, like I'm not starving for anybody in particular now. Like when the series started, those first 4, you are waiting so much to see everybody.
Yeah.
And now when they pop up, you're like, okay, awesome. Like there's just been so many good moments that's happened so far, with and without new characters, that I'm like so satisfied with everything about this.
Yeah. So then we also see Cooper when he gets brought home, or Dougie, when he's staring at the statue, and then the security guard or the cop or whoever it is ask him where he lives. And once again, he only knows it's like a red door and the basics, doesn't know the address. So he gets home, and then there's a conversation between Janey-E and the security guard or cop or whatever, where she indicates, or she talked about maybe taking Dougie to to a doctor, and talked about like he has bad days or whatever. So it indicates that Dougie before was not the picture of productive, quick conversation. So that maybe gives a little bit more believability to the fact that everyone doesn't immediately want to take him to the hospital thinking he's had a stroke or something. Mm-hmm. Because he is acting... If you knew someone who acted normal and then they acted like Dougie's acting so far, you would want to take them to the hospital because you would not think they were normal. But if he had stuff going on before, which would make sense if he was just kind of like an empty vessel created by... the evil doppelganger Cooper and Bob. Like, if that was the intent, then it makes sense that he's not all there.
Yeah, I mean...
How he managed to get Naomi Watts, Janey as his wife and have a kid, like, or, are they manufactured too?
There's so many things, like, there's a lot of people that seem to believe that reality of Dougie Cooper is dream or whatever, because people have mentioned, like, off in Dreamland again, and somebody said, like, are you dreaming again, Dougie? Yeah. Like, there's been a lot of mention of that. Things like the owl behind him when he first is in the kitchen. Yeah. Like, there's been a lot of things around him that are, like, references to, like, general Twin Peaks stuff. Yeah. But also to just the fact that, like, in Mulholland Drive, dreams affect reality. So people are thinking, like, there are all these things that are connected to the storyline that are actually happening, but there's something about his reality that maybe is not quite right. And one thing I was thinking about too is the Rancho Rasa. Is that the name of the community they live in?
I have to look, but there's two R's.
Yeah, it's the name of the which is kind of like double R. You know what I mean? Again, double R. If he was in a dream reality, and it's the name of Lynch's production company, so it's almost like it's fabricated. Yeah. And granted, like, so. I think I would definitely see kind of some of the points behind that. Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if it got even stranger. Because right now we're already at a status quo of strange. Yeah. And it's kind of stated that for the most part.
Quirky, strange.
So you can see them like doubling over and kind of surprising the audience again and being very confusing. Just like Mulholland Drive is. Like it's a lot to wrap your head around. So I'm very interested to see where that all goes. But I just like watching Dougie for some reason. Like, it's like calming. Like, I just like watching him bumbling around. Like, I could watch an hour of that.
Yeah. So now, too, there's also, like, so once he's home and all that's settled and he starts working on the case files, he starts seeing stuff on the files and he's drawing, ladders and lines and stuff and circling things. And some of the names on the files are Anthony Sinclair, which is the character that Tom Sizemore plays. If you remember correctly, at the board meeting or the meeting in his work, he said he was a liar or said he was lying. Mm-hmm.
Because he saw the flash of green on his face.
And like, Cooper was always good at, detecting if someone was lying or not in the original series. So he's, seeing this stuff, and then when he goes into work the next day and he shows it to his boss looks at first he's kind of upset. He's like, what is this gibberish in these drawings? And then as he looks through more of it, he sees that, Dougie's found something, and then he's like, well, keep this to yourself for now. So that probably means that there's been something that Dougie's pointed out that's indicating fraud with Sinclair, because I think they said that some of it was like burglary cases or something to do with like
insurance claims, basically.
Insurance claims, where the police officer's name was the same in all of them, and then it was the same adjuster and Anthony Sinclair's
and they said like
character.
They checked out, like, oh, it's all clear. This was legit. It wasn't. There wasn't like, it wasn't somebody that caught fire intentionally or whatever. One thing I noticed about that scene too, when he was talking to his boss, he kept looking at that poster, the boxing advertisement, and I assumed that was the boss. I'm thinking that he may have been a boxer formerly. I'm not positive though.
I don't remember.
Because it seemed like it somewhat looked like him. So anyway, he kept looking at that and then looking at him, and I wonder if it's Dougie Cooper kind of making the connection that that's who he was before and this is who he is now. Yeah. And it might be like Cooper may start realizing like, oh, there was another me. You know what I mean?
Because Mike told him to wake up don't die.
Again, wake up, you know.
So
possibly.
he's continuing to slowly, and then he's wearing like a more form-fitting black suit that looks good on him versus the really big green thing that he was wearing before.
But to be fair, wasn't he wearing that earlier? And she said we're going to take it to the cleaners. So
yeah,
you can wear it again. You
but
know,
like,
that could be that
so
too.
I think that so he's in the traditional Cooper clothes, and he's starting to retain or regain more elements of himself. You know, slowly but surely, he's getting some of that back. And then, you know, like, too, we see, like, the stoplight, and you hear, like, the electrical crackle.
Yeah.
And I think that's supposed to be, like, the only intersection in Twin Peaks, because later, so then you see Richard Horne driving a truck, and he's approaching traffic, and that's after Carl Rod has left the trailer park and is sitting on a bench, and he sees a mother and her son playing a game of, like, tag. And they're playing in the park, and then Carl sees it, and he's very happy, and he's content, and he, you know, I guess he enjoyed seeing that. And then you see Richard get out of traffic, and he's going around all the cars, so then you know something bad's going to happen. And then when the guy that's at the stop sign or light or whatever motions for the mom that they can go, the little boy goes out, and of course it's when Richard is going by, and he hits the kid, and keeps going. And then you see the kid die, and it's pretty brutal because there's like blood on him and stuff. And then you see the mom go and like hold him in her arms. And then Carl sees like a yellow spirit come out of the kid and get like into like the electrical lines and stuff.
Oh, I didn't realize it went into electrical lines.
Or I mean, because like a lot of the stuff looks like it goes through electricity.
That I think was the same intersection too that Mike recognized Leland Palmer.
So yeah, there's
also,
like...
but we've got that other light that's in the series that I think was prominently in it that's kind of in the woods. Remember? Where Laura Palmer jumps off of the bike and runs off into the woods.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? It's in in Fire Walk with Me.
Yeah.
When he's sitting at the intersection, and it's when he always said that she ran off. That's when he runs off, and that's I think that's the light too that he told the DP to shoot, like, for the pilot. Like, he's like, just shoot that light. You know what I mean? So that light has been a thing they've shown before in connection to Laura Palmer and just everything.
So, and then is so you see the yellow go up and you hear, like, the crackle of electricity and stuff. So some people were like, so does the Garmonbazia or Garmonbazia? It's not easy to pronounce. If it travels and then it gets spit out somewhere else as cream corn, that would be because cream corn was something that played into the original series and things like that, and then the stuff that the evil Cooper vomited out. So yeah, then Richard goes and cleans the front of the car off to try to get the blood that's on there off, and he leaves it. So he's not a good person.
No, I mean I'm really interested in seeing where that's all going, because now he is also who spotted him? The lady in the diner that was getting all the pies. Yes. She spotted Richard Horne too. Yes. So he is going to be a person of interest very soon as far as the police are concerned, I think. Yeah. So that's really going to start, I think, bringing a lot of things together, or a lot of the characters together, almost, it seems. Yeah,
and then so then you also had the guy Duncan Todd, who works in Las Vegas, whose computer flashes like a red box on it, and then he then gets a folder that he's very careful not to leave fingerprints on out of the safe, and then it gets sent to Ike the Spike, who is a killer that has like a weird spike thing. And then there's a picture of the woman, I believe is Lorraine, who we saw in the prior episode, was the one who, when they failed to kill Dougie, said, "You're trying to get me killed," and then sends the text message. So the pictures are of her and of Dougie. So Ike the Spike goes and kills her, and like anybody else who's there.
Yeah, and then he kills her and then ladies, and then he chases after the other lady.
and then after he kills the other woman, the spike is bent. So he seems kind of upset about that. So that will hopefully hold him up from trying to go after Dougie or Cooper. But I was saying, like, I've seen other people say this, and it makes perfect sense to me. Like, what would be awesome is when Ike the Spike comes after Dougie, if it's when Dougie and Anthony, played by Tom Sizemore, are having some type of altercation, and then like there's some weird fight that occurs with Tom Sizemore like killing Ike the Spike or something. Like, that would be crazy. I don't think that'll happen. But you set these characters up out in the world, they're going to have to interact at some point, or some of them will.
Yeah, this series has been very good. You know, the previous series
but
was
will
very
David
good
Lynch,
about setting things up and then bringing them together.
Will David Lynch do anticlimax, though, and just have, like, him, like, you know, get hit by a car randomly and die, or...
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks still, the key has been sent off to
the Great Northern.
Yeah, Great Northern, so, you know...
Oh, and then
we've got some time on that.
So then when Dougie was at home, they had like the envelope they got left at their house. They had pictures of him with prostitute and
with
Janey with a prostitute, or at least with one prostitute. There might have been more stuff there, but Janey sees it and then like shows it to him, and he's like, Jade, which was the prostitute he's with in like the prior episode. And he's like, Jade gave 2 rides. And then she's like, I bet she did. So, and then Janey like said, you know, like indicates like, didn't you call them like the people you owe money to because he had gambled or something? So then she takes care of that for him. So she goes and meets the bookies or whatever, and then he had owed, what was it, $20,000?
Yeah.
And they said it was really 52 because of interest. And then, you know, she gives him she spouts off a number of lines about how they're the 99%. And they drive crappy cars.
And you'd be lucky to get a 5% interest at a bank loan or something, you know.
And then she mentions that you know, it's a lot of money to get, especially a broken leg. So she then just gives them $25,000, which she said, you know, you said like the interest and all that stuff. So she gets them to go away. So they are obviously not the ones who are trying to kill Dougie.
Which I love her character. Like, even when she yells for Dougie when he's upstairs, like that's a great scene too, when he's with the son, Sonny Jim.
Yeah.
And, you know, doing the clapping and everything. Like, I love that whole scene, but she starts yelling and you know she's pissed right away.
Yeah.
And like her character is just like ready to take care of business. You know what I mean? Like, she's a strong woman.
So too, there's the hilarious scene where Dougie's in the bedroom with what's her son's name, Sonny Jim or something, and he's eating the chips.
Yes. Yeah.
And then he offers Sonny a chip, and he's like, "No, I'm ready to brush my teeth." And then he like very lightly sets the chip down on the bed. So one, his son is very he is a lot of self-control to not eat the chip after he's brushed his teeth. And that's just small touches that are hilarious when you sit there and think about it. So you have that. Like you said, and then Janey eventually...
Yeah, her character, it's so awesome too, because they have like, what, $60-something thousand?
Or it's like $425,000.
Was it? Yeah, I love that she's putting up such a fight.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have to. Like, they have the money. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, she's a strong woman, and
she's taking care of business.
She's taking care of her family too, you know? I love her character so much. And people were complaining at first because all of her lines were reduced to her saying, Dougie, like in that first episode when she appears. Yeah. But she's a great character. And also, too, so Truman, he pops up just a little bit, and his wife comes back.
Well, yeah, you see, like with Truman and his wife, and so, too, I didn't catch this. So the cop that's being kind of a douchebag was plain clothes in the prior episode that interacted with Richard Horne at the Bang Bang Bar.
Yeah, he's the guy involved with drug running as well.
So he's the one when kind of talks about, you know, as being kind of, like I said, just being a douche about it. And they indicate that Sheriff Truman and his wife's kid died, or their son died, when he was in the military.
Well, he killed himself.
Or killed himself.
And he was in the military. I don't know if it was before or after. I almost felt like it was after. It was PTSD.
Yeah, he was in the military, and then he was deceased.
And they say she wasn't always like this. I mean, his wife, and, you know, and of course he's like unsympathetic about it because he was, you know, he's been like an asshole since day one. Although before you could see him being an asshole because they would seem crazy if you walked in like, oh yeah, they're talking to the lady that talks to her log. Yeah. But after the drug thing and now this, you're like, oh yeah, this guy is a total asshole. Yeah. So he's probably going to get it at some point.
Well, then too, so you have Hawk when he's in the restroom, like a buffalo nickel or coin like rolls away from him, and when he looks for it in the bathroom, then, you know, he remembers what the log lady had told him, what Margaret told him about using his heritage. And then he looks at the door of the bathroom, and it's the Nez Perce, or Nez Perce, how do you pronounce it? Nezperce like is the name of the manufacturing company that made the door. So then he peels the door frame off and finds some pieces of paper in it. It could be notes from a diary. It could be a lot of things. I didn't see exactly what it was.
I wish I would have put up some of the theories people had on it, but like somewhere like that it could have been pieces of paper from like Laura's diary from certain points.
Yeah.
Because like Leland Palmer had them whenever he left the crime scene.
Yeah.
That night, I think, or something. But then Bob also ripped pages out of it, so it could have been him. And when he was in there being interrogated or whatever, could have hit him in the bathroom.
There's a lot of things it could be.
It's very, like I said, it feels like classic Twin Peaks cliffhanger.
It should give something that puts Hawk on the track to finding Cooper, being able to bring Cooper back. So whatever that is, maybe it's stuff that's relevant to the lodges, like,
or it could be relevant to knowing that the evil Coop is not legit Coop, and I'm very interested to see. Things are kind of starting to roll uphill as far as a lot of those things, which they have been.
Yeah.
They've been slowly unraveling, I think. And now they're starting to set up even more and more dominoes without resolving some of them.
Yeah.
Like the key being sent and all that.
Yeah,
so now they're really setting things up to kind of start falling.
The key being mailed back to the Great Northern should tip off anybody who's involved with that about Cooper, because he's been missing and that was his room key when he went missing. Then there's, the stuff with Dougie, like eventually he's going to intersect with some of these other storylines. Diane, I'm assuming in the next episode or two, Diane and Albert or Gordon or Tammy or some combination are going to interact with evil Cooper in prison, at which point Diane will recognize that it's not the real Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of other things that are probably going to happen too, like, the Matthew Lillard character, is he coming back or is that done?
Yeah.
Because there's like when he was in prison, there's like that black silhouetted creature person that's in the prison. So we're in the jail cells. Like, what's happening with that? Like, is that coming back? Like,
is he in Firewalk with Me? That guy. I've seen people point out pictures of him, or maybe not necessarily him, but other figures like that.
In the Firewalk with Me, they had like different people wearing like the masks and stuff that were kind of like the evil spirits.
There was somebody in. You remember when they're in the diner and they go like back in the corner and somebody's working on something?
Yeah.
There's somebody just sitting there, and I can't remember if that person looks exactly like it or not. But I feel like I've seen a couple theories on who or what that was. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we never return to that. Which that was really a fascinating storyline on its own, because Matthew Lillard, I think, had a great performance.
Since it had something to do with the corpse that we're led to believe is Major Briggs, because nobody really thinks, I would have to assume, that Major Briggs actually died in the fire at the outpost or whatever that he was working at, since he was involved with Cooper. And then is it really Philip Jeffries that anybody's contacted, or is it somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
So there's all these dangling threads that are out there that may or may not come together. But I think that you're going to continue, because there's still some characters we haven't seen. Like, we haven't seen Big Ed yet, and he was in some of the the footage before the show came out, so he's exists and he'll be in there at some point. But it could simply be a scene like Nadine was in, where she was in there for just a few seconds.
Yeah, you don't really see reason for Norma to be in there much. We've been in the diner for things happening, but really Norma, Big Ed, Nadine, their roles have not really. You don't see how they're going to come into the story easily. You know what I mean? You can see Audrey coming in just based on Richard Horne being like a shithead and in trouble.
Like either her son or nephew,
not even dealing with
brother,
Cooper and the key. You can see her, but it's what are the other ones? Because really, Bobby. Bobby has barely been in there, but James has not. Yeah, James, he's not predominantly connected so far.
James
to all this
Hurley
stuff.
showed up at the bar, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Is Bobby a straight and arrow cop, or is he still involved in drugs because we've seen that someone else in the station is involved in stuff?
I could see how Big Ed would be involved if the Bookhouse Boys had to start. That would be a way
if Hawk reached out to the Bookhouse Boys
to get everybody back on track to being predominantly featured and have a good reason, and not just make up something we just showed up. So I think the Bookhouse Boys may have a mission as far as the drug running goes, possibly to figure out things going on with Richard Horne, or who knows.
Well, and too, in the secret history of Twin Peaks in the book, there's some stuff about the Bookhouse in there, and it shows their favorite books, and then it basically boils down to there's a coded message, it's beware the evil Cooper, kind of. that the book is written from the perspective of Tammy Preston, who a while back, or was it last episode, I believe, where she saw like the picture of Cooper, and
I think it was
the thumbprints or the fingerprints, and saw something.
Episode 5.
So you have that thread that's going to come back together. You have the evil Cooper in prison, but he also has the powers,
which we didn't see this episode.
Yeah,
I was a little surprised.
We didn't see any movement on that. We heard Gordon on the phone, Gordon Cole, with either like with a female that was present. So he's old school, so what all's going on there. But yeah, you have all these different threads that are all going to have to converge at some point. And, I still think that we'll probably get more stuff in Twin Peaks because the lodges have to play into it.
I don't know if I saw something on it this episode or what, but somebody was doing a timer, and it's like slowly we're spending more and more time in Twin Peaks as each episode goes. And it seems like that too. Well, like this time was almost split.
Yeah.
Maybe not with the original characters, but with Richard Horne and Harry Dean Stanton and all that stuff. Like there was a lot of time spent in Twin Peaks now. Yeah,
so there's stuff like that. Then, we're continuing to see Dougie or Cooper regain more and more of his Cooperness.
Mm-hmm.
So how long before he actually appears as Cooper and does Cooper things? I
would say, if I had to guess, like let's just guess, I would say 3 more episodes at minimal.
Yeah.
Almost. Unless it is going to be a thing like he just snaps out of it, But I almost feel like there's so many threads going on that it may take a few episodes, unless they focus one totally on him for some reason.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen, and like with the stuff in Twin Peaks, like we still don't know like what Becky and Steve, like what their deal is, where that's going. We don't know where the stuff with Richard's going, and the stuff with Red and the drug dealing. We don't know like what's going on in the sheriff's department. There's a lot of stuff we don't know exactly what's happening.
It's a really big story. Like we heard 18 episodes, 18 hours. Like, oh man, that's a lot of Twin Peaks. That's a lot of Lynch. That's like and it really is like one giant Lynch movie.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's so much interesting things going on. I'm like, I wish it was 28 hours. I don't want to be greedy, but like...
We haven't gone back to the glass box.
Yeah.
We haven't gone back to any of that stuff. We don't know exactly what's going on in Las Vegas in terms of like who's ordering the hits and stuff and like what all that is. Like, it likely goes back to Evil Cooper, but we don't know for sure. But there's connections there because... the woman who got killed in this episode by Ike the Spike called the same electronic box or pager box or whatever it was in Argentina that Evil Cooper called. So there's stuff's all connected in some way, but it hasn't all been laid out. But I think it's going to have to start converging towards Twin Peaks as we go along.
Do you think Ike the Spike is at all possibly almost like an agent of the Black Lodge or something? Like Evil Coop is... could have made that call.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Or like, has somehow communicated with him. Granted, he got a dossier with a paper. He got a piece of paper, but like, he just seems like a very odd character.
A very Lynchian type character.
Yeah, just like he has one thing, and it is to kill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that seems like he's like, his it is just...
Well, and he's killing people, too, in pretty public places without a whole lot of regard
Yeah,
for
like,
it.
he almost... he could just be a hired, like, weird character.
Yeah, that...
But... He almost seems like he could be, like a fabrication of the Black Lodge to take out Coop or Dougie or whatever.
Yeah, so who knows exactly where all this stuff's going? I think there's more things being peeled back, and then we're just going to have to see where it goes. And there's still characters I haven't seen, like Audrey, who I know a lot of people are very excited to see, and I want to see where that goes because she was one of the main characters. And if you haven't read the Secret History of Twin Peaks, like, you don't know what happened to her character. Granted, she's on the show, so she's alive in some capacity or exists somewhere. And she wasn't in the lodge, so she's probably out in the world somewhere. So, so there's a lot of stuff that still hasn't happened, characters we haven't seen, things that are still being figured out. But, each week when it comes time to watch this show, I'm always super excited now because even if it's not moving at the pace some people would want, the original show didn't either. It took until season 2, like 8 or 9 episodes in, until Laura Palmer's killer was revealed, and David Lynch never intended for that to actually happen.
And this all seems extremely deliberate. Whether or not you like the pace of it, this isn't to extend the series out. This isn't them spinning their wheels with like bottle episodes or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like this, everything is building towards something, so it's it's all very, very important. Whether or not if it's just kind of a feeling that Lynch wants to give you in that moment in that scene that maybe that doesn't matter on the larger story. Like it's it all kind of is an expression of what him and Mark Frost want to do, I think.
Yeah, so I'm super excited to see where it goes in future episodes. Like, hopefully we get to see more stuff in Twin Peaks, and we start getting to get an idea of how some of the different parts of the story connect to each other, which I think is going to happen sooner than later because of the connective tissue between the different things are starting to intersect. So I think that we will be getting, if not more answers, we'll be getting more background on some of this stuff sooner than later. And there's still a lot of stars that haven't showed up yet that have been, and two, like the Bang Bang Bar, like has, for it to be like a tiny town in Twin Peaks, whoever is booking their shows has a lot of pull.
I was thinking that's probably a fun shooting schedule for them on the show because they probably just spent a week
with
there.
Musical performances.
Yeah, just shooting musical performances and then just putting them in the show.
Yeah.
And that was probably pretty awesome for all them, the camera crew and everybody.
Yeah, that would be a lot easier than some of the, well, I don't know if it's easier because music videos and stuff aren't easy.
But most of the shots are kind of sweeping. You can tell they got the same setup. It's shot the same. They've got, multiple cameras.
Yeah.
And they kind of just have fun with it, it seems like. So that's pretty awesome. And that's how this show is. Like, it just kind of, you got to have fun with a little bit of it and just kind of sit there and enjoy it for what it is and be in the moment in it and don't be waiting for answers to kind of, what I mean, hit every few minutes. Like, I don't want people to like rush to the end of it because you could be disappointed. Like, enjoy the journey.
Yeah, with David Lynch, you know what you're going to get, especially considering like some of the film work he's done where it's very non-linear storytelling. So, but yeah, I mean, this episode continued to move things along and show you more. And I think it's starting to settle into a little bit of a mode for a while where it's, settling into what it's going to be for some of these episodes. It could be vastly different at the end because Twin Peaks Season 2, the last 2 episodes are vastly different than the ones that came before it. So you don't really know what to expect. But it's moving things along, and we're getting to see more of different characters, and Cooper is hopefully closer to coming back. But you knew that they weren't going to do the traditional thing and have him be back as the hero episode 1, just because the way things left off, that would be kind of impossible to do. Yeah. So whatever Lynch is doing, I trust it'll go somewhere. So I think that was everything from this episode.
Yeah, and thanks for commenting. Like, everybody commenting on all our videos and corrections and theories and like everything is awesome because we love this series and we want to get things right just for ourselves and to kind of think about it because you can only watch this once. You know what I mean? You can only have fun with it once, and we're not all wrapped up in solving everything, but it's also really fun just to think about and anticipate the next episode and
then
kind
see
of
if they go in a completely
a
different direction than what you anticipated, which is so far kind of been what they've been doing.
So keep up the comments and all the corrections and theories and everything else, and we'll, if they warrant discussion on the next episode, we'll bring them up. But if they're in the comments, you guys can go back and read those. Like sometimes we try to get on there and respond to a lot of them too. So
So that concludes our discussion of episode 6 of Twin Peaks: The Return, Don't Die. Keep an eye out. We'll have an episode out when the next episode drops.